The biggest struggle with fly fishing rigs isn't putting them together. It's knowing when to use them. You can know how to tie a dry dropper, a single dry fly, or even a double nymph rig. But when you walk up to the river and see fast water, slow water, deep water, suddenly you're thinking, which one do I even use right now? That's where most anglers get stuck. So in this deep dive, we'll simplify it completely. And a quick heads up, this was recorded live inside of our school group during one of our monthly deep dives. If you want to get in on the next one live, ask questions in real time, and be part of a community full of awesome anglers, scan the QR code on screen or hit the link in the description below this video. All right, let's jump into this month's rig deep dive.
So Alex, most anglers, they don't struggle with putting a rig together, right? I feel like that's a fairly something we can all agree on. They don't struggle with putting the rig together.
I mean, you might if you're just starting out, right? Like it does take a few reps, some muscle memory. You got to watch a couple YouTube videos.
Got to remember your knots. Yep.
But I would say once you learn how to put a rig together, that's not what anglers struggle with the most.
The big tripping point is knowing when to use those rigs. How do you know if you need to use a triple emerger rig? Or I was even listening to a competitor's podcast for market research purposes only, and they had someone send in a question where the dude was like, I fish 5 soft hackles on my rig, and I'm not sure how to tell if I'm getting bites or not. And the host was like, well, sir, I'm not sure what the law is in Texas, but 5 flies on a rig is probably illegal. So, yeah, knowing when to use that rig.
Yeah, have you ever felt like that before? You get to the river and you walk up and you're not quite sure which rig to use? Drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever felt like that. Yeah. Bill, Sheldon, Micah, Dustin. Yeah, everybody, right? Peter, John, Vince. Vince, is that a million? Million. Wow.
Vince, come on. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, so it is a struggle knowing exactly what rig to use, and I thought this was pretty funny. There's so much mysticism around rigs. Like, knowing if you're using the right one, a dry dropper, a single dry, a double nymph, a dry double dropper. And a lot of people just think that if you have a rig on, the right rig, quote unquote right rig, that it's just magic and it's just going to put fish in the net. But
now, what do we know about magic anything in this sport, Alex? It doesn't frickin' exist. There's no magic flies. There's no magic rigs. There's no magic underwear. There's no magic sunglasses. There's no magic hat.
I was about to say, your hat might be magic.
Oh, because it's so filthy?
No, you're brown. No, you're brown. Your lucky fishing hat.
The one that I had to retire.
Have a little bit of magic.
It's got mojo. Is what it's. There's a difference between mojo and magic.
What's the difference?
It's ineffable. You can't tell.
All right. But yes, that is not how it works. Having the right rig, it's not some magic bullet that's going to save your fishing day.
Nope. So each rig has pros and cons, and they're a tool. Right? You don't show up to the job site with your dainty little ball peen hammer for framing, right? You don't do that. Or I don't know. Would you, Alex? You don't know anything about construction, so.
I was really hoping you would do this. No, you don't do that.
No. It's like you got to use the right tool for the job. Okay, and that's a big thing to remember. Rigs are the same way. You got to use the right rig for the job, but every rig's got its pros and cons.
And let's emphasize, every rig has cons, right?
Well, except for the dry fly rig, single dry rig. Because here's the thing.
What if fish are eating nymphs? They're not eating dries.
No, they'll come up and eat the dry. Because if you are good enough, because here's the thing that you don't understand, Alex. Catching fish on dry flies, it makes you a better husband, makes you a better father, makes you a better person. You are spiritually connected to the river in a way that just doesn't happen if you're slinging nymphs and split shot and plastic bobbers. So they will rise for a dry fly if you are good enough.
Why don't you fish dry flies all the time then?
I'm not good enough.
All right. Glad we have it on the record.
Yeah, you guys heard it here first. But no, every rig does have its cons. Not every rig works in every situation.
Yeah.
Alex's nymph rigs don't work in every situation. He changes them based on the kind of river we're fishing. I change my dry dropper rigs based on what we're going to try and fish as well. So anyways, kidding, fun time aside, we are going to walk through 3 common water types. And then we're going to tell you what rig we would use for that. And then how we would adjust that rig based on what the fish in the river are telling us. Because we're going to put our listening ears on like we're back in kindergarten. We're going to listen to the fish in the river. They're going to tell us what to do.
But
before that, we need dramatic music.
We do have a special surprise.
This is the big surprise Alex was teasing earlier.
Details are at the end of today's deep dive. So
on a
definitely
need to know basis.
Stick around. But let's dive in. So we, like Spencer said, we've got 3 situations. We're going to talk about the rigs we'd use, how we'd adjust, how we'd approach the water, really how we would try and catch as many fish as possible out of these spots. And situation 1 is riffles. And if you guys know what riffles are, drop it in the chat. What is the telltale sign of riffles? We got broken water.
Your mom's broken water.
Turbulent water over rocks, wavy water, riffles, water depth, washboard water. Washboard water, that's a great one. Yeah, turbulent water.
Kind of like my washboard.
Shallower. This guy's on one. White caps, yeah, like little waves over rocks. Nate, surprisingly, she is. LOL. Shallow and fast, just like Dallas. Love that. Cool. Yeah, so it's the little like small waves, but they're consistent, right? Like it almost looks like the same bumpy water for a I don't know how long would you say?
Man.
Like I mean,
as long as it wants to be.
The Madison, the entire river is a riffle, so they can be as
except
long
for the
as
spots that aren't. But yes, it is a lot of riffly.
World's longest riffle. The Madison
it is a lot
river.
of riffly water. Yeah, I mean,
Jack Madison. There you go.
A lot of rivers I fish. I mean, your classic trout river setup is riffle, run, pool, and then it repeats. And the riffles, the runs, and the pools can be as long or as deep as they need to be. But you usually see them cascade through those 3 water types, unless it's really steep, and then it's all just pockets and rapids and fast water at that point.
So fast, shallow water, choppy surface. Something interesting about riffles is they are the food factory of the river because they're so shallow and because they have so much turbulence.
And oxygen is the key thing.
The turbulence causes oxygen, but then you also have it's shallower, so more light gets in, which a lot more plant life is able to grow on the rocks.
And what do you get when you have plants somewhere, Alex?
Bugs.
You get bugs. And what do fish like to eat?
Bugs.
And rainbow garlic power bait. But yes, also bugs. So there's going to be a bunch of food in those riffles. It's like when you go down any of the main streets in the Salt Lake Valley, it's just Wendy's, Taco Bell, Del Taco, KFC, Jimmy John's. It just repeats on loop. That's what the fish are seeing too. There's no originality in the restaurants here. We just don't have the refined. That kind of holds. I was surprised when we were in Florida a couple weeks ago. Like it was the same thing, except I think there were a few more.
Wait. Fast food chains are national?
Well, come on, man. Why can't we have
What are we even talking about?
No,
obviously they're the same thing.
We need some individuality in this country.
That's why we go to Rocky Mountain Wing Shack.
Yes, we do. Plug for them. Yeah. They're not listening, but plug for them. The best wing joint in the West.
So getting back on track here. Fish move into these riffles during hatches. So like we said, food factory, the bugs start hatching. Some of those nymphs, some of those emergers get loose. They get caught up in this faster water. Fish will actually move out of the deeper water up into the riffles to feed.
Because there's so much food that hanging out there is worth the energy expense because they're eating more than they're.
You'd have to
they're
imagine
expending.
they're moving pretty fast in the faster water, but like Spencer said, it's worth it to them because they can eat so much food.
So what's the common mistake that people run into when they fish riffles, Alex?
They skip them.
They skip them. Why do they do that?
Because they don't think there's fish in them, which we got to give people some credit because fish are not in riffles all year long.
No.
Yeah. It's usually
just most of the year.
I wouldn't say even most of the year.
No, they're not.
It's like they're in there a lot when hatches are going on.
Yes.
You'll actually see them like move. It's really cool to watch, actually, just like see them move up while the hatch is progressing throughout the day. And then the hatch will like ease out and the fish will
just kind of chill right out.
Back into the deeper water.
Slide right back down.
Yeah.
So what rig are we going to use to fish a riffle? How are we going to tackle this today, my good sir?
Let's ask these guys. What rig would you use first to fish riffles?
What rig would you pick, peasants?
Oh my gosh.
What?
Peasants?
Okay. Who's the VFC Bassmaster champion?
I don't know. Who is the VFC Bassmaster?
Who's got a 5-pound largemouth and who hasn't?
I can't believe that this just changed on a dime. Dry dropper, hopper dropper, dry dropper, tight line or swing wets. That's ambitious.
Who said that?
Yeah. Dan, that's impressive, honestly. I could see swinging wets though. It'd be pretty effective.
If you want to be bored to tears.
Dude, swinging wets is fun.
I legit, all kidding aside, it just doesn't scratch that itch for me. I don't know why. Like I've done it a fair amount. It's just not my, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great way to fish. It's just not my not my cup of tea, but the guys who love it, they love it. So props to them for being able to do it.
Yeah, we got a lot of dry droppers in here. And that's what we would say is when we're fishing riffles, we start with a dry dropper rig most of the time, just because when fish are in the riffles, they're hungry, they're active. They're probably going to eat a dry fly or a nymph.
Unless you're Alex and you see them rising in the riffles, you're going to chuck nymphs at them. Chuck a bobber rig at them.
I will use a dry dropper rig. I will use a dry dropper rig because there's still a nymph on it, so it's fine.
Yeah, you're good.
But let's talk about, so let's say you throw that dry dropper up there and we're gonna run through a few situations you might run into. So let's say the dropper gets caught up every cast. Walk us through that.
I mean, just cut it off. That's the easiest thing.
Yeah,
if you're in a riffle that's that shallow, you just cut that off. Or if you're really married to the whole I got to fish a dropper, then just shorten it by 5-6 inches.
Shorten it. You could shorten the dropper. You could also tie on a lighter nymph. So
do that
more of like an emerger pattern.
You could throw on one of them soft tackle wet flies.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those little doodads. Be a good one. Another issue that you run into is what do you do if your dry fly is moving so fast that your nymph's not sinking and you don't think it's getting in front of the fish? What do you do at that point?
Add a heavier nymph. So
yep.
That water is moving really, really, really fast in riffles, and it'll surprise you how heavy of a nymph you have to actually use to get it down in that 6 inches of water.
Well, I was going to say, especially if it's like a 2-foot deep riffle or something, mid shin.
Yeah.
So it's going to be quite a bit.
Sometimes there's even times, let's say it's moving really fast and you're in a 2-foot riffle.
Yep.
You could throw on a double nymph rig if you really wanted to.
You certainly
but
could.
I don't do that.
No.
Really. It will get, both of those nymphs will get caught up so often. It's just a pain to fish.
It is.
So.
All righty. And then the last thing that we do, if your dry fly is dragging as soon as you throw it out there, so you throw it out immediately, it's just whipping around like it's had way too much Mountain Dew and now got on a jet ski and it's just out there.
I mean, can you really tell though in a riffle if it's doing the jet ski?
I can. If you got a hopper on there, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but if you see it dragging, if it's just not drifting correctly, the solution to that is reposition yourself. or shorten the drift up. You can move a little bit closer to the fish in riffles because all that broken water is a little bit of cover for them from overhead predators, so they're not as spooked as they are in low, clear, shallow, slow stuff. So you can get a little bit closer to them if you need to.
So does anybody have any follow-up questions on riffles? Dry dropper any time of year? Yeah. I mean, so yeah, Dale asked dry dropper any time of year. I'm trying to think when I wouldn't use a dry dropper.
If I was only using a single dry, that's when.
Yeah. If fish were really active, and you could even sometimes fish will even rise in riffles, which is cool. Tie on a single dry. That's when the hopper, just a chubby Chernobyl in those riffles a lot of times. It's so fun.
Yep.
Indicator nymph, Pete. Yeah. That's what I was referring to earlier. If I used a double nymph rig with an indicator, my worry would be it gets caught up 9 times out of 10 in shallow riffles. You could move that indicator so that it's that far away from the first nymph, but at that point, might as well just use a dry dropper, honestly.
Yeah. Brendan asked, if the water's so shallow, why cast into it if I can't see any fish? So if the riffle's 2 inches deep and you don't see any fish, yeah, don't cast into it. But you would be surprised at how often you don't see fish in riffles. Learning to spot fish in the river is a skill, and I think I'm good at it. And then I go fish with my guide friends, and I'm not good at it. So it is a skill that takes some developing. So definitely. Streamers
in a riffle?
Well, I don't fish streamers, so I can't. The only time I fish streamers is for 5-pound bass. So
yeah, I mean, it's the same principles, right? So if you're chucking a streamer, you'd want it unweighted. You probably wouldn't want a sink tip. You'd want it on floating line, just because if there's any weight to it, it's going to get caught up and it's not going to be natural presentation.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would work though if you got the setup dialed in.
I've never caught them on streamers and riffles, because when they're in riffles, they're more focused on the bugs.
We were with Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
When was that?
That was all runs, all that stuff.
No, when he was over on the far side when we parked the boat, that was totally riffle. It was like,
well, he wasn't fishing deep. A streamer. He had an egg on.
No, he had that little indicator with the streamer on it.
No, it's
technically nymphing.
It's a nymph. Yeah, that's not even.
It looks like a streamer though. So he was dead drifting a streamer, kind of.
Yep.
Anyways, do not fish riffles when they are spawning. Correct. Yep. Yeah. So if you see spawning beds, reds, it'll look like a
cleaned off section of gravel,
like a lighter color gravel patch in the riffles. Don't walk on those. If there's fish on those, you shouldn't fish those. Those are fish that are spawning. They're doing their thing. They're making little baby fish for us future anglers. So, we 100% recommend do not fish to spawning fish. All right, let's move on to situation numero dos. Runs. So Spencer, what is the difference between a riffle and a run?
Well, riffles are, a lot easier to handle, but runs is what you get from my mother-in-law's cooking. I had to
cricket.
I had to. Hey, we got some people laughing in the chat. There we go. No, difference between riffles and runs. Riffles are a little bit deeper than runs. Generally, I'd throw them into like the 3 to 4.5 foot deep section. They aren't as deep as a pool. And the riffles have that walking speed water that's just kind of moving, 1 to 2 feet per second. It's not moving as fast as a riffle, but it's still cooking, but it's not moving as fast as a riffle.
Yeah.
And then the big thing with riffles, grab our slide back up here. So the fish are going to hang out next to structure in the runs.
Yeah, talk about like the surface of runs. because they're pretty constant. I mean,
Yeah.
There's
not a riffle and it's not a pool. It's the in-between stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't really, it doesn't give much away, really.
No, it's tough to see what's underneath sometimes. But if you see boulders, see rocks, anything submerged, you want to cast that because that's where the fish are going to be hanging out.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, actually, that you'll see a submerged rock. And if you work both sides of that rock, and the water will look like it's moving pretty quick, but that fish will just be tucked right to the side or like beneath the rock, or sometimes even in front of the rock, because it just gives it enough cushion that the fish can hang out there.
Exactly.
So don't overlook that submerged structure and the subtle seams. Also, the water, if we're talking just principles as far as current goes, in a river, the water on top is always moving faster than the water near the bottom of the river. And that's because water, when it flows, it's rubbing up against the riverbed, which causes friction. So the water that is closest to the bottom is moving slower. That's why you'll find a lot of fish hugging the bottom, is they're conserving energy at the bottom of the river. And it's the same thing against the banks. When the water rubs up against the banks, the water slows down. So you'll find fish there too.
Vince asked, are runs also called the soft edges? Someone told me to hit the soft edge. No clue what he meant. Well, Vince, no, that's not what that is.
It could be.
No, the soft edges, you're talking the soft stuff off of the edge of any kind of water, run, riffle, pool. Yeah. So it's just the soft water, the stuff that's moving a little bit slower off of the stuff that's moving faster. That's all a soft edge would be.
It could be like behind a rock, behind a log.
Yep.
If you go back to the slide, this picture, you can see on the left side of this, the water's moving a lot faster, but on the right side, it's softer. It's a softer edge. And then there's a seam right in the middle of that. And so when they're talking fish the softer edges, they're talking fish that right side. Yep. That's where fish are hanging out.
Fish the softer looking water.
Yeah.
So what's the big issue when you get to a run, Alex, other than not having enough TP? What is the biggest issue? Hey, can I share something real quick?
Sure. After that comment?
I saw this great hat that I wanted to get for us. It said something along the lines of, if you get diarrhea from Taco Bell, it's just because you're not strong enough. I feel like that speaks to our fast food addiction that we've got.
We go on a lot of road trips out to these crazy rivers, and there's not many options.
Are you going to eat at Taco Bell, or are you going to eat at the gas station in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas? Yeah, I'm going Taco Bell.
Yeah, because they are national. So the common mistake when it comes to runs is you're just not getting your flies deep enough. When I've been out with beginners or people that are still learning the ropes, they'll fish runs with their dry dropper rig or their nymph rig or what have it, and they'll give it like 5 or 6 casts through, and then they'll just move on. And their indicator or their dry fly on top, if they're using a dry dropper, it's just like, and from having a little bit more experience than these people that I'm out with, I can tell that if that indicator or that dry fly is moving so fast, the nymphs underneath, they're pulling right behind it. It's like if a truck was pulling a trailer, it's just like, phew.
It's like everybody on I-15 in Utah.
Yeah, exactly.
I was doing 78 and getting past this morning. I hate this.
And we also talked about how the water on top is faster than the water underneath. So if your flies aren't getting deep enough, let's say you're using a dry dropper rig. So you have the dry fly up here, you have your tippet, the nymph is down here. If your nymph is getting down to the bottom, your nymph will actually be going slower than the dry fly, and it will kind of pull on the dry fly just slightly. And it's not pulling it so that it has drag, but it's like slowing the dry fly down. And if you've done this for a while, you can actually see it when you're fishing runs or fishing deeper water.
Yep.
And so you want to make sure that your flies are getting down into the strike zone, which in runs, because there's not a lot of structure, there's not a lot of relief, is usually that bottom third of the water column.
So what's our rig choice? How are we going to tackle a run, folks? What are we going to use? Drop it in the comments. Let's see what you got.
Double nymph. Double nymph.
Indicator.
Streamer. Double nymph. Dry dropper. Double nymph. Streamer. Honestly, I think it's personal preference.
Yeah. I mean, I like to fish dry dropper through it all. Unless the run's really deep or really fast. But I just fish dry droppers through a lot of it because I get more sensitivity out of that dry fly. I'm more accurate at casting the dry fly than I am that big plastic bobber. So I like fishing it that way. And then I'm not re-rigging just for one part of the river. That's something that a lot of folks ask about is like, well, I got to move to this part of the river. We just got out of this riffle and now moving into this run. And what do I do with my rig? And you set it up right. You don't really need to change it too much unless you're on a river that has enormous depth changes throughout it. You know, like my local creek. You fished that a whole bunch with me, Alex.
Yeah.
We go up there. We set up a dry dropper rig. How often are we tweaking that rig?
Not too much.
But there's a lot of water that's about ankle to mid shin deep. And then we do get into some like waist deep water in that river, right? So how do we get away with not always adjusting that?
I think what do you mean by adjusting? Because I do think we might change out flies sometimes.
We'll change out a fly, but we're not like adding more tippet and cutting it off every time we move to a new hole, right?
Sometimes we're just okay with not catching every fish.
Also that. But a lot of times it's like, I'll put on a big, heavy Pat's rubber legs underneath chubby Chernobyl. And if that gets caught up in the shallower stuff, it gets caught up in the shallower stuff. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. But then that'll get me down into that deeper stuff.
It's kind of like focus more on what the average depth of the river is. Yep. And we're hitting all that water. And then we're kind of okay with maybe getting caught up in the shallow stuff. And maybe we position ourselves so that it doesn't happen as much. Yep. And then we're also okay if we come up to a deeper pool, we'll fish like the back half of it. And then maybe we'll try the front half and see if there's some fish that are suspended higher in the water column.
Yep.
And if they're not, we're like, whatever. And we keep moving on.
We'll move on. But that's why we go with the dry dropper so much. And the curiosity about, you know, how do you adjust it? How do you wrangle that rig for the water as it changes? You said it really well, Alex. You're not going to catch every fish with it. If you want to catch every fish in the river, grab a Euro rod and do that. But if you really want to pick the water apart, you really want to pick the holes apart, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Definitely do it.
And the reason you can do it with a Euro rod is you're
controlling
super
the depth.
easy to control the depth.
Yeah, you control the depth.
You lift the rod higher, you can go super shallow. You put it more line out, you go really deep.
Yep, exactly.
And you're just tight to it the whole time.
Exactly.
So that's why a lot of these competition anglers that are catching 50, 60, 100 fish in a day, they Euro nymph. So dry dropper. Let's run through some of the adjustments. So let's say fish eats your dry fly and your nymph in a run. Giddy up.
But what if I want to catch all of them, Alex? What do I do?
Keep going.
Keep going.
Throw some more caps.
But how do I know how do I know I got the right fish? No, I'm being serious. We get that question sometimes.
I think you just got to be okay with not. I don't know.
You got to be okay with not tearing apart the water like a surgeon sometimes.
Unless you want to, unless you enjoy doing that. That's what it comes down to this is a great example where we get questions like this all the time where it's so specific and people are just overthinking it so much where they forget why they're out there in the first place. And it's to just enjoy yourself and be outside and catch some fish.
And if your enjoyment is overthinking, and I'm not being condescending when I say that. If your enjoyment is that, and that's what you really love, then that's fine. But don't lose the forest for the trees, right? Don't focus on stuff that produces results in one highly specific situation. Focus on the stuff that produces results in a lot of broad situations, and that's going to bring you more success on the water. So, just my 2 cents on it. But yeah, so fish eating your dry fly, your nymph, you're doing it right. If you're not getting any nymphs eats, you're not catching bottom at all. that means that, all right, maybe you need to adjust your rig at this point. Maybe you add another nymph. When I've got a dry dropper on and I'm not getting deep enough in the run, I will put another nymph on. So I'll have a dry dropper, and that'll get that bottom nymph deep. That's my change if I'm not getting deep enough. I don't cut the fly off and tie more tippet on unless I'm just too shallow for everything. If I misjudge the depth right from the get-go and maybe the water is moving quicker than I expected, I will recut that and put that longer piece of tippet on, but I don't do that for every run. Okay. It is just put that third fly on or put a heavier dropper on.
And I've actually, this last year, I've kind of gone away from the 3-fly rig just because.
And who's caught more fish?
Probably me, honestly.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Bassmaster champion, even though you didn't even win the title fair and square.
Who caught more jacks?
Oh my gosh.
Who's the jack master?
Who caught a snook? Oh,
who only got one shot at a snook?
This is unbelievable. I'm getting attacked.
Who got a tarpon to look at his fly?
Yeah, who screwed up that eat?
Who didn't even get a tarpon eat?
Wow. This is crazy. Shots fired.
Anyways.
What was I saying? Oh, so I've gone away from using.
You've caught more fish than me.
Just well, I was going to say, I don't feel like I have as much control over where my nymph is drifting when I'm using a dry drop rig and I have 2 droppers. So I've actually done a lot more lengthening my tippet and switching out the flies a bit more often, which I feel like
you also like
control.
to surgically tear the water apart way more than I do.
I do.
You're not to an extreme with it, but you like it more than I do.
Yeah. But
so
even I just feel like I have more control over my flies, and then it also reduces my chance of tangles, which a lot of people
push back.
Okay.
I feel like I've got all the control of 2 nymphs that I want and need.
Okay. It's because you're a better angler than me.
No. How many times a couple of weeks ago did I lose? Remember, I had to come in here and raid our egg bomber stash before they went on sale because I lost 2 enormous fish on eggs because I was tying up my dropper rig. And remember what kept happening? The knot kept breaking. I wasn't as comfortable with that rig.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, I think the point is you could get comfortable with it, couldn't you?
Well, I've used it a lot.
But you could get more comfortable.
It's not as accurate. It's not a comfort thing. It's accuracy.
I think we should have a competition with it. I think that'd be fun.
All right.
No, I'm not being. I'm saying
you'll win because you just catch so many more fish than me, man. Like, it's crazy. I just get smoked every single time we go out. It's wild. So moving on. You don't get any dry fly eats. It's probably your presentation. That's the first thing you should question. It's usually not a fly problem. It's usually a presentation problem.
It's not me. It's you. The old classic Costanza line.
Make sure your natural drift, reposition, mending. And then if you're still not getting any eats, you might want to go to a double nymph rig. Because you might just need to get deeper. That was the common mistake we talked about, right? Is you're not getting deep enough. You might just have to go to a double nymph rig if the run is super fast and deep.
And what nymph rig do we like in runs? What's our go-to?
Are you saying bounce rig?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Bounce rigs are great. Bounce rigs are great in runs.
I have done a complete 180 on it.
Yeah.
In the last year.
Yeah, they were.
Because I refused it for a long time. I refused to go to away from the tandem nymph rig. Switched over to that. I definitely have more sensitivity in my flies with that rig.
Yeah.
Because they're drifting freely.
I just catch way more fish on it in runs. When I use it, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Any follow-up questions for runs before we move on to pools? You got anything? Explain what a bounce rig is. We have, all right. A lot of people haven't seen that video. So we've done a couple videos on it. We just did a podcast on it not too long ago too, right?
Yeah.
Where we've got diagrams on it.
I'll look up the episode number
real
while
quick.
You're talking about it.
The bounce rig is all your split shots on the bottom. And then you go up from that and you have a tag coming off with a triple surgeons or a blood knot. And you put your fly on that. Then you've got more tippet going up, another blood knot or triple surgeons, another tag coming off it. Put an nymph on that. And that's the bounce rig, because all the split shot down there at the bottom, it hits the bottom of the river and kind of bounces along and snags up, or doesn't snag up. It just kind of bounces along the bottom like that, hence the name of it.
Episode 166, it's called How to Nymph Faster Water Without Losing Flies. All about the bounce rig. Spencer shares a graphic. He runs through the whole thing. Problem solving. Adjustability, all that. So
yeah, and you guys, a couple of guys are like, "Oh, I remember it now." You're fine. I'm not upset or nothing. I just, we get that question a ton. So that is one that, like, we specifically put some content together for it so that you can get an in-depth explanation on it.
There's also a video in our nymphing masterclass that is all about rigs, and that is one of the rigs that we talk about in the nymphing masterclass.
Did I edit that one?
No, I did.
That's why I don't remember it as well. When you edit the video, you remember every bit.
Everything that's good and bad.
Yeah, of what made it in that one.
All right, so let's run through our situation number 3 real quick while we still have some time. We'll run through this one fast. So pools. Pools have 3 parts. You have your tail, which is the shallow part towards the end of the pool,
where it's transitioning into another water type, usually riffles.
And so the tail is usually shallower and faster. Then you have the head, which is the front of the pool. And that's almost like a run. It's deeper, it's faster.
There's a lot of turbulence. There's a lot of mixing currents up there. There's usually some more structure up towards the head too. You'll usually see some rocks, maybe some logs and whatnot at the heads of pools. So there's a lot of places for fish to hide, but there are complex currents up there too.
And then you have the middle of the pool, which is very slow and deep. And that is probably one of the most frequently asked questions we get, is how to fish slow, deep water, which we've already covered. Kind of how to fish the tail, which would be you do it just like a riffle.
Yep.
The head, fish it like a run. The middle, it's a little bit different. So let's go through that.
So what you're going to do in the middle is you're going to watch for rising fish. Because that's the one thing I think a lot of folks overlook with pools. They get to it and they think, oh, all the big ones are down at the bottom. Yeah, probably there's some big ones down at the bottom. But if they're up and willing to look up for food, they don't have to spend hardly any energy at all to sit and exist in the pool.
It's almost like a lake.
Yeah. So they're a lot more willing to come up. Now, if it's like a 8-9 foot deep pool, yeah, the big ones are probably down there. And unless it's a big hatch, they're probably not moving off of the bottom 100%. But in some of your shallower pools, especially small trout streams, like 2-3 foot deep pool, yeah, they will come up and eat that a lot. You'd be surprised how often they'll come all the way from the bottom and eat your dry fly. And even if you don't see anything rising first, just chuck a dry fly out there for a minute, just see if you can tease anything up. So that's the first way to really tackle it. And that's honestly what we say to do for the middle of the pool is go with that dry fly. That's the rig we say to start out with.
Yeah, you're going to find the most active fish at the tail and at the head of the pool because that's where the most food is moving.
Yep.
Where you'll find fish in the middle, in the slow water, is usually during a hatch, which is why we said look for active rising fish.
In the middle.
In the middle, because now there's bugs in the middle. There's bugs hatching, so the fish will be there. But most of the time, they're kind of towards the head and the tail because that's where the food is moving.
Mm-hmm.
And then common mistake is actually spooking fish. So pools are moving a lot slower than runs and riffles. If you tromp down there into the pool, you're probably going to, especially in the tail. I can't tell you how many times I've just walked up to a tail and there's 5 fish sitting in the tail and they all just,
yeah. That's a Spencer Durant special right there. He's stomping up like Bigfoot and just splashing through it all.
Yeah.
So,
so don't do that. Stay low, move slow. And then, like Spencer said, start with that single dry. That's usually when fish are rising, or I mean, it's also great for the tail because there's a lot of times when you can see fish in the tail. And if you have a dry dropper on and you chuck it up there, I can't tell you how many times I've also that nymph lands in the water and it's like kerplunk and they spook as well.
They do. But they'll move the tail because the food can't escape them because it's caught in the current that's moving quick. So the fish will move on food in the tail with a lot less discernment for your fly. And your drift quality as well. You can kind of get away with things.
So a couple adjustments. If you're not getting any dry fly eats, again,
it's not you, it's me. Or it's not me, it's you. Whichever one you want, that's what it is. If you're not getting fish to eat your fly, it's almost always not a fly problem. It's almost always a presentation problem. So make sure that you're not having any drag on it. Throw some mends if you need to. Reposition yourself so you can cast in a way that you're not getting drag.
And the middle of pools are notoriously hard to get a good drift.
Yes.
It's just how they are.
Long leaders can help though. So if you add 3 or 4 feet of tippet to the end of your leader, it can help extend that drift for a little bit.
Yeah. And if you're not getting any dry fly eats, maybe try the dry dropper and get a nymph down 2 or 3 feet and see if any fish are willing to come up and eat those.
Yep. And then if you do that, you're not getting any nymph eats, that's when you go even deeper. So get them down to the bottom third of the water column, go with that double nymph rig, throw your bobber on there. And if you're still not getting anything out of the pool at that point, you can chuck your streamer through it, see if you can tease anything up like that. My experience with most pools, though, is if they're not eating anything, chucking the streamer through at the end really hasn't done a lot for me.
See, that's so funny. I threw this in here because I can't tell you how many times I've sat in a pool and I've gone through the dry fly, I've gone through the dry dropper, I've gone through the nymph, I've added split shot to my nymph rig. Like I'm dragging the bottom, I'm just dredging my nymphs across fish, like trying to get them to eat. And then right at the very end, like last ditch effort, I tie on a streamer and I just get it down there and I strip it right past their face and they smack it. So I've had that happen a number of times.
Maybe 2 or 3 for me. Yeah. So you're just better at streamers now.
I'm just a better angler. What can I say?
You are the bass minister.
Oh, and now I am?
When it suits me.
Yeah.
Any questions about pools? Any follow-up questions about pools?
How long do you spend at each piece of water? Great question, Jack. That is a question we get all the time. However long you want to.
Depends on the angle of the sun. What moon phase are we in? Okay, what'd your horoscope read that morning? Then you need to triangulate all that data around the barometric pressure, and then that needs to be combined with the coefficient of your gas mileage and what you had for breakfast and the availability of Twinkies within a 50-mile radius.
And if there's no Twinkies?
There's no Twinkies, don't go fishing. It's that simple.
That's a law.
Yeah. No, it's as long as you want. Just spend it until you fished it. And I mean, you could spend forever on it. You move on. I like to move pretty quickly through water. I probably move a little too fast through water sometimes. It's one of my big drawbacks as an angler is I move through the water a bit too quickly.
If I can see the fish, I'll be there longer.
And I have to haul him away sometimes.
Yeah. If I can see the big fish swimming at the bottom of the pool, I mean, 95% chance he's not going to even look at my flies because he's just down there chilling and giving you the middle fin. But you got to give it a try. Or
you can just say, "Hey, buddy, nice to meet you."
You got to.
You can tip your cap to him and just move on. Say, "I'll catch you another day."
I got
literally
give it a whirl. All right, so that concludes our situations. But before we share the super special surprise, big surprise, mark our calendar. We have the Chubby Chernobyl is our fly of the month for April. We have the
Chubby
tutorial.
Fly was named after me, little known fact.
So we have the tying kit and the tutorial that will drop April 12th on YouTube, the tutorial, and then the tying kit will be on our website, venturesflyco.com. We have our next tying night, April 21st at 6 p.m.
At what time, Alex?
6 p.m.
Are we
Mountain
sure?
Standard Time.
Are you using your laser? They can't see your laser pointer.
I'm not using laser pointer.
Oh, is it taking some self-restraint to not use the laser pointer?
So and then we have our next deep dive. This deep dive it's technically March 31st, but this is counting as the April deep dive.
Yeah, because next week we're going to be all fishing where there ain't no service.
Yeah. So that is May 5th at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Drum roll, please.
I do want to say one thing, though. The tying night. How many people have we had? 96. All right, I'm writing it down. We hit 100. Okay.
That's it?
So, yeah, it's because Spencer's here. There would have been more, but they heard he was showing up with his dad jokes and his ego.
Am I what?
So we hit 100. So at tying night, if we get over 100, we will do a giveaway. Okay. So now the moment you've all been waiting for. We've got a surprise. And this has been a long time in the making, honestly.
Because someone's a perfectionist.
So we get this a lot in YouTube comments, emails, podcast questions. I understand this stuff when I'm watching the video, but when I'm out on the water, I forget everything. So that is the problem we are trying to solve. A lot of times people don't have self-service, so they can't look up the video again. They can't look up the guides that we have, like the year-round hatch chart or the rigs and knots pocket guide, all that. I mean, you could download those, but
you could.
Sometimes you forget and you get to the water and it's not downloaded and you start cursing yourself.
Yep.
You don't want to print stuff out because it gets beat up. It can blow away in the wind. It gets wet, disintegrates. Lots of problems. So, Spencer, what is the solution?
Solution? Well, we created something to solve that.
Introducing
the VFC Field Guide. Look at that bad boy right there. Oh, no glare. Look at that. Boom. Here it is. It's out in the wild. Physical, it's waterproof, and these ain't laminated. This is actually what took a long time, was finding actual plastic. This is real, honest to goodness. We'll put microplastics in everything you own. Durable as heck. Spiral bound, could club a baby seal with it. Plastic. Okay, this is what we've got. 100% waterproof. It doesn't float, so if you drop it in the river, like, that's on you. Okay, be better. But it's got everything, folks.
Maybe we'll have to add like a self-inflating life jacket on.
No, we just need we need the little lanyard on it or something like that, right? But it's got everything. Okay, so aquatic insects, flies, rigs and knots. Oh, there's midges hatching. I want to know about midges. Alex, what do I do? Oh, wait, I go to here where the midge life cycle and recommended flies are there for you to see all the time. Okay. Yep. Oh, I don't remember my my bug trends. What's active when? Boom, right there. That's when it's active.
What about rigs? What if I can't remember how to set up my double nymph rig?
Well, how about a double dry fly rig? Because that's the page I opened to. But the double nymph rig, boom, is the next page. Yeah. It's all there. It's literally, boom, it's all there. Yeah. You don't have to guess. You don't have to remember. You don't have to depend on your failing memory. You don't have to depend on the fact that your kids have been bugging you all day and you can't even remember what your name is. You don't have to depend on the fact that you hate your job and you're just going to the river to get some peace. Then you get there and you can't remember anything and you don't have to depend on that anymore. Because it's all right here. This little package.
But Spencer, that's got to cost a fortune.
Well, if you call now, you can get it for 3 easy payments of $42.83. No, we had a lot of debate about this. We thought, we got this little thing, and I like nice stuff, so let's sell it. Let's sell it for a premium. It's a premium product.
Yeah. We thought $10. Honestly, I feel like it's worth more than $10, $20,
$30.
Honestly, it's pretty nice.
I spent $3,000 when we started teasing them at the beginning.
Yeah, we started at $3,000, so $30.
You're already getting close. I'll just tell you that right now. You're already getting a deal.
And that's because we've really packed a lot into one booklet. We've been doing VFC for over 6 years now, and over those 6 years, we've condensed everything that we've learned, like how to simply explain things, what actually matters versus like what's fluff, what's things that like people talk about, but it's actually not going to make a difference if you catch fish or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then since it's a physical waterproof booklet, it's spiral bound, there is a real cost to produce it. So when we place an order, the place we order it from, they send us an invoice and we pay it to have them print them.
Yeah, I have to skip caviar that night. I've never had caviar, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to try it.
No, it's gross, man. It's not good. Yeah,
although I will say, I was watching a cooking show the other day and they did escargot.
No,
didn't look that bad. It looked like shrimp, dude.
That's because it doesn't look that bad, but it's chewy. It's like rubber.
That's just like how my mother-in-law eats her steak, so I'll be fine.
So realistically, I think it's something that we'd sell for around $25.
Mm-hmm.
If I was being honest.
25 American dollars cash money today.
Yeah. But
I want to help you guys out. I decided to give up my ski chateau in Park City. Alex has made a commitment to quit buying bougie shoes.
Yeah.
So we're not selling it for 25.
Yeah. We thought, how about 20? But then I was like, does Spencer really need that 34th Diet Coke on our fishing trip? No, I think we could go 30. So how about 15?
$15. $15. We'll get it.
What do you guys think? You think $15 is worth it? You think $15 is worth the field guide?
15 not Canadian dollars, American dollars. I think people would. They would pay it.
Well, guess what?
It ain't $15.
Not even 50. Let's go 10.
$10. We'll give it to you for $10. Anybody for $10? I got $10. $10. Going once, going twice.
Yeah. But honestly, the reason we've learned so much over the last 6 years is because of you guys. It's because of everyone who sends in questions and everyone who watches the videos and everyone who maybe we missed something in a video and we need to explain it better. Just everything that we've learned over the last 6 years is because of the people who are in the school group, who watch the YouTube channel, who send in emails. So we thought,
not $10, wrong price. Boom.
We're going to give it away for free. You just pay for shipping.
Yep. That's all you got to do. So, and I believe the link is live right now.
But we do have limited quantities. There's a cost associated with us printing these. So we didn't order a billion of them.
Yep.
We wanted to, but we couldn't. But school, because you're here, because you're in the school group, because you're here live, you get first dibs.
Yep.
So,
and the link is live right now. It'll get dropped in the chat here. Aiden just dropped it. It's also live on the website. There's your QR code.
Yeah. If you're on a computer, you can scan that with your phone. You can also just go to venturesflyco.com, our website. At the top, there's a Learn tab. Hover over that, click on that. And then the first thing is the field guide. And it's right there.
Yep.
And then again, it's free. You just pay for the shipping. And I wish we could control the shipping costs a little bit more, but that is U.S. Postal Service, UPS. So
if someone wants to pay $25 for it, my PayPal is Spencer Durant. You just send it on there. But no, grab them, use it. Quit having those moments of frustration on the river because you feel like you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Quit having those moments of feeling like an idiot because you forgot something that's really simple. And I'm saying that as someone who forgets simple things all the time and then feels very stupid for it.
Yeah.
Just get it and refer to it.
When you get it, if you could leave a 5-star review on the website, and maybe a picture of you out on the river using it, maybe tell a story. Let's say you're out there and you find a bug and you don't know what it is and you whip open the field guide and you're like, hey, this is a mayfly nymph. Throw that story in the reviews. We would love to see it. So, but thank you so much. You guys rock. We couldn't do this without you. So hopefully you enjoy the field guide and live real life.
Want to open it up for any questions at the end, or we want to sign off?
It's 7:00. We are headed out.
I was a little bit late. That's why I was volunteering some of your time to make up for my late time.
That was staged.
It was not. We would never stage anything. Everything about this is raw.
Thank you, everyone. You're the best. Live real life.
Adios.